Hello and welcome back to the Bielsa Stand podcast, and this episode is all about predictions. Yes, this is the episode where I predict all things football for the 2023 to 2024 season. So before we get started, remember to hit that like button. Remember to comment down below who you think will be promoted to the Premier League this season and who will get relegated from the Premier League, but also who's going to finish top 4 in the Premier League and who's going to win the Premier League, as well as sharing it to your football mates, as well as liking. As I say, remember to follow us all on social media at the Bielsa Stand, and let's get straight into this episode. So signing of the season for Leeds United will go straight to Perot, our new number 7. He'll be our top goal scorer, so there's a bit of insight for top goal scorer. And yeah, I think he'll be signing of the season. He's obviously one of the best strikers in the Championship. Leeds United have done their thing and brought him into the club. He obviously scored on his debut against Ipswich. He didn't have the greatest game against Sheffield Wednesday, but neither did any of the players, to be honest. It was a boring 0-0. So Perot will be signing of the season as well as top scorer. How many goals do I think he'll get? I think he'll get 20 to 25 goals. Now let's get on to flop of the season. And who do I think will be flop of the season for Leeds United regarding the signings? And this may be a bit of a cop-out, but I'm going to go for Darlow, just because Meslier, I can imagine him staying number 1 between the sticks for Leeds United. I can imagine Darlow being more or less backup. Obviously, he's played in the cup games and he hasn't really been that impressive, especially against Salford. And he should have been saving those penalties in the penalty shootout. So I'm going to go flop of the season for Darlow. And I think when he does play for Leeds United, if that's in cup games or if that's in the odd Championship game, I think we'll realise actually Meslier is a better keeper and Meslier should be our number 1. So yeah, I'm going to go for Darlow as flop of the season for Leeds. So let's talk about surprise package. So a player in the Leeds United squad who's going to have a great season, who maybe we didn't expect to. Now I'm going to go for either Poveda and Sam Byram. Obviously Sam Byram's back at the club after all these years and he's been playing left back and he's done alright, in that left back position. Obviously Firpo's been injured, so he's been filling in Byram. But also Poveda has been playing well since the start of pre-season. I mean, we saw in pre-season him having a good couple of games. We've seen early in the league that he plays well. So I'm going to go for Poveda, actually. Poveda's going to be surprise packet of the season. Before pre-season, I thought maybe we'll try and get rid, obviously. But you know what? He's done all right when he played. Obviously, he's injured, so we're waiting for him to get back from his injury. Obviously, he was at Blackpool last season. He didn't do well there. I mean, they, as a team, didn't do well. They got relegated. So I'm going to go for Poveda. Obviously, notable mentions maybe Shackleton. Shackleton's had a good start to this season. Sam Byram, as I say. But I'm going to go for Ian Poveda. Now let's go on to underrated player of the season. Now this is easy, Jamie Shackleton. I don't think he's underrated. I think so far he's had his praises this season as he's been doing well, but I think he'll play a bit of a part this season. I think he'll do okay. You know what, he'll do well. Obviously I've said previously that he's not up to this level, but you know what, this season he's proved me wrong. He's brought the energy. He's obviously hard working, so I'm going to go for underrated to Jamie Shacks for that. Next up is the most injured award, and this goes to Mr. Patrick Bamford, who's just turned 30 years old. So yeah, Patrick Bamford, I think he'll have a terrible season. He's not up to this level. He had one good season under Bielsa when we finished 9th. Obviously, when we were last in the Championship, he missed a lot of chances. And as I say, he got injured in pre-season. We haven't really seen him this season, but I think he'll be the most injured. I think he'll hardly get any games, with Perot being on number 9, even though he's a number 7 on the back of the shirt. And I think Joe Perot will show how good he is against Bamford, and out of them two I would have Perot any day over Bamford. I think he's lost it, Bamford. I think he'll be okay to play for Sheffield Wednesday or Millwall. I think he's that level, but not Leeds United anymore. Next prediction is young player of the season for Leeds United, and I'm going to go for Somerville. I think he's a terrific talent. I think he's showed it in glimpses this season. Obviously, he showed it in glimpses last season, especially against Liverpool, scoring that late goal. And also against Ipswich, I believe he scored the winner. So Somerville's going to be young player of the season for us. I think if we are going to get into top 6 and promoted, I think he'll be one of the players who helps us to get there, and I think he's got talent, this youngster. So I'm gonna go for Somerville as young player of the year. So now let's move over to my predictions for the championship this season. And this is gonna be a bit of a wild card, but the 3 teams that I think will go down is 3 Yorkshire teams, believe it or not. So I'm going to go for Huddersfield. Neil Warnock's team will go down. He's obviously been complaining in press conferences regarding transfers and all this kind of stuff. Do I think he'll manage to the end of the season? Possibly. I think he may leave. Another team I think will go down is Sheffield Wednesday. Obviously, they drew against us. They've got Cisco as manager, who's obviously been at Watford previously, but that's not hard because half the managers have been at Watford in the last 10 years in the Championship, it seems like. So yeah, I think Sheffield Wednesday will go down. They obviously got promoted last season through the playoffs. Down Moore as manager, as we know. So yeah, I'm going to go for Huddersfield, Sheffield Wednesday, and the last team I'm going to go for is a bit of a surprise, but Middlesbrough. Obviously, they got Michael Carrick as manager at the moment. They haven't started the season very well. They've had 5 games, 1 draw, 4 losses. Obviously sat bottom on 24th place with 1 point. They brought in the likes of Lewis O'Brien and Sam Greenwood, as we know, but I think they'll have a bad season. Obviously last season they did well. They reached the playoffs under Michael Carrick, but I think this season may be a bit of a shocker, and Borough goes down to League One. So now let's talk about the teams I think will reach the playoffs this season. And I'm going to go for Birmingham City as one of those teams. I think that may be a surprise, but Birmingham City have had a good start to the season. Currently they've got 11 points after 5 games. They've got the likes of Tyler Roberts through the door. They are currently sat in 4th place whilst recording this, so I'm going to go for Birmingham City in the playoffs as well as Norwich City. Obviously, they got ex-Huddersfield manager Wagner, and I think they'll do well. They're currently 5th at this moment of time, so I'm going to go for 2 other teams, being Birmingham City and Norwich City. Now my other 2 teams are Sunderland. I think Sunderland will be up there. I think Leeds United will actually reach the playoffs. Yeah, I think we're going to just get into it. I think we'll probably finish 6th, to be honest, if we're lucky. I think at the moment we'll probably won't reach the playoffs, but I'm being optimistic for this and say Leeds United will finish 6th, as well as Sunderland. Obviously, they got Jack Clark. Sunderland's got Tony Mowbray as manager, don't they? And yeah, I mean, they've had an okay start to the season so far. After 5 games, they're on 7 points, 9th place. They've won 2 games, as I say. Leeds United are obviously in our position of 15th. Our position, as we always are in the Championship, it seems like, when we are here. And obviously we've had 1 win, 3 draws, 1 loss. We're currently on 6 points, but I think the reason why I don't think we'll get automatic promotions or struggle to get playoffs is because we don't have a number 10. I've said for ages that we need a number 10, a Pablo replacement, a Samuel Saez replacement. We just don't have that number 10. I think Pervader will do a bit of a job there. So yeah, I'm going to go for Sunderland and Leeds. So now this leaves my predictions for the top 2. Now the teams that will get automatic promotion will be Ipswich Town and Southampton. Yes, I've not said Leicester City. I think Leicester City will finish 7th or 8th. I think they'll have a disappointing season. They've got obviously the ex-City assistant as manager, Enzo. I mean, they've had a good start, They're 3rd at the moment, 4 wins out of 5, 12 points behind Ipswich and Preston. But I just think they'll miss out, to be honest. And yeah, so as I say, Southampton will finish in the top 2. I think Southampton will have a good season, to be honest, and I think Ipswich will be the surprise package of getting promoted. Obviously, they got Leif Davis there, and yeah, I mean, their only loss was against Leeds United, So that's something that Leeds United have actually done this season. Our only win was against them. But yeah, Ipswich Town will go up as well as Southampton in automatic promotion. Now, onto my playoff predictions. As I say, the 4 teams I think will reach the playoffs will be Norwich City, Birmingham, Sunderland and Leeds United. So out of those 4 teams, who do I think will get promoted to the Premier League? I think it'll be a Sunderland versus Norwich playoff final. I think Leeds United will lose and Birmingham will lose in the semis. So yeah, it'll be either Norwich or Sunderland. Out of those 2 teams, who do I think will get promoted? I think Norwich City. I think Norwich City will have a great season. Obviously, they didn't have the greatest season last season. I think they finished mid-table, but I think Norwich City will get promoted to the Premier League, as well as Southampton and Ipswich Town. Now, who do I think will be top scorer in the division? I'm going to go for Pro. I think Pro's going to have a fantastic season for Leeds. I think he'll be our best player. I think he's going to be top scorer in the Championship. At the moment, he's not top goal scorer. There's actually 4 players who are currently joint top with 4 goals. Obviously, Pro's only got 1 goal so far for Leeds United, but I think by the end of the season, as I say, Pro will be top goal scorer of the Championship. So that's my Championship predictions. Now let's move on to the Premier League, the league that we wish that Leeds United was still in. Top goal scorer is going to be Haaland with at least 30 goals, I reckon. He's going to be a machine once again this season. Haaland will be top goal scorer of the Premier League. Young player of the season will go to Evan Ferguson at Brighton. Obviously, Brighton has this knack of bringing through young players or like having young players in their squad and then selling them for a big amount of money. Evan Ferguson obviously scored a hat-trick earlier on this season. He looks like a terrific striker. So I'm going to go for young player of the season to Evan Ferguson. Flop of the season is going to go to Ansu Fati. Obviously, he's a Barcelona winger on loan at Brighton. And there's been a lot of hype over Ansu Fati, but my question is, why is Barcelona loaning him out? If he's really that good, surely Barcelona would want him in the team. So I don't think he's going to hit the ground running really at Brighton. I think he'll make 20 appearances or so and score a couple of goals. But I think it'll be overall disappointing for him this season at Brighton. Signing of the season is maybe going to go to a surprising player who you may not expect. But I'm going to go to Elanga, the ex-Manchester United winger from Sweden. He obviously moved to Nottingham Forest this season. I think he's going to be very good this season. Obviously, he scored the winner and the only goal versus Chelsea to get Nottingham Forest that win. And I think he's going to have a good season, I think he might get about 15 goals. He's still young. He's only 21. He's got a lot of potential. Obviously, he was at Manchester United, and we all know the players that's gone through the academy at Manchester United. So, I think he's obviously got talent and he's got potential, and I think he'll show it at a club at Nottingham Forest, to be honest. And I think Nottingham Forest will stay in the Premier League by the end of the season as well. I don't see them getting relegated. Now, talking about relegation, who do I think will go down from the Premier League? Who do I think will get relegated? I'm going to go for 3 teams, obviously, because 3 teams go down, and my teams are going to be Sheffield United. I just don't think they're good enough. I think they'll go straight down. Obviously, they got promoted, being second in the Championship last season. They've got Heckingbottom, ex-Leeds United manager, at the helm. They sold Berger, but they've brought in a couple of signings, Sheffield. So I just don't think they'll have enough. I don't think they've done enough in the transfer market. So I think they'll go down. I think surprisingly Burnley will go down. They've had an awful start this season. They've had 3 home games, 3 losses, obviously against good teams though. But they're on a -8 goal difference, 0 points after 3 games. Company, will he still be manager by the end of the season? Who knows? I think they'll get relegated, but maybe they'll sack him by the 30th game or something and just do a Sam Allardyce for the last 8 games as Leeds United did last season. And I don't think it's going to work out. So I'm going to go for Sheffield United and Burnley as 2 of the teams. Now, my 3rd team who's going to go down is Luton Town. I think Luton Town will go straight down. Obviously, they got promoted through the playoffs against Coventry last season. Obviously, featuring in that playoff was Hamer, who has moved to Sheffield United, ex-Coventry player. But yeah, I think Luton will go down. I want them to do well. I want them to stay up, but I just can't see them doing much this season, to be honest. I know they've brought in Ross Barkley and a few players, but I just don't think they got the quality. So unfortunately, I think they'll go down, even though I would like to see them stay up in the Premier League. So that obviously means teams like Everton and Areola's team and Wolves will just stay up. I think they'll be fighting relegation, but they'll just stay up. Obviously, Areola's brought in Sinisterra. I think he'll be the main difference for Bournemouth this season. I think he will be the player, right? He'll be the player to save them this season. Obviously, they brought in Tyler Adams. He's injured, so who knows when he's back. But yeah, I think they'll just manage. Wolves, obviously, one of the favourites to go down. I think they'll just be safe. Everton are obviously awful. They actually only got 1 point out of 4 games, and I think they'll finish 17th, to be honest. I don't think they'll go down. I think they'll do what they usually do and just stay up. Obviously, they sold Arobi. They brought in the likes of Jack Howson. I just don't see them doing very much this season, to be honest, Everton. Now, moving to the top of the table, now let's talk about my top 4, top 6, top 7, whatever you want to say. And let's go over my prediction for the top half of the Premier League. So, I'm going to go for Manchester City to be champions. Obviously, they won the treble last season. Manchester City still have Haaland, the likes of Rodri. They brought in some great players. They brought in Kovacic from Chelsea, didn't they? They brought in that defender that Leeds United were linked with the other year as a centre-back option, or I think he can also play left-back, and they've brought in whoever. So I think City will be top of the league. I think second will be Arsenal. I'm going to go for Arsenal second. I think Arsenal's had a good transfer window. You know, they brought in the likes of Declan Rice, obviously scored against Manchester United in the 90th or 96th minute or so. I think Arsenal will have a good season. They've brought in Havertz as well. They brought in Raya, who's a very good keeper, ex-Brentford keeper. So, yeah, I don't know why they brought him in if he's going to play number 2, but he should be a number 1 keeper. So I think Arsenal will do well. Who else have they brought in? They brought in the likes of Havertz, Declan Rice and Timber. I think Timber will have an okay season, to be honest. But yeah, I think they'll just finish. Actually, I'm going to go for Arsenal third. Liverpool 4th and Spurs 2nd. Angie's Spurs will finish 2nd. Obviously, they sold Harry Kane. They brought in the likes of Maddison and other players. I think Tottenham will have a good season, to be honest. I think they're going to finish 2nd behind Manchester City. Currently they're sat 2nd. Then it's going to be Arsenal and Liverpool. Liverpool has had a lot of change, and that's why I'm going to go with them to finish 4th, because it's still a transition period. A lot of midfielders have left. A lot of midfielders have joined the club. Obviously McAllister has joined Liverpool, but Milner, Henderson, Fabinho has all left. They've brought in other midfielders. Liverpool, the young Holland international from Bayern, Ryan, has came in, as well as the Hungarian and another player from Stuttgart. So yeah, I think Liverpool will finish 4th, which I think is a good season for them, because they'll be back in the Champions League next season. You know what? This is it. Top 4. City, Arsenal, Spurs, Liverpool. That's going to be my prediction. City 1st, Arsenal 2nd, Tottenham 3rd, and Liverpool 4th. Now 5th will be Villa. Yeah, I'm going to go for Aston Villa. Bit of a shocker there. I mean, they've had a very good transfer window. They've brought in Pau Torres. They've brought in the likes of Langer, the Barcelona centre-back who was at Tottenham last season, the French player. They've bought in Diaby as well from Bayer Leverkusen, so they've done well. The reason why I'm not going to go for Chelsea or Manchester United, because I don't think they'll be good enough. I think Chelsea, again, having through a transition period with a lot of players leaving. Chelsea's got rid of a lot of players, half of them going to Saudi Arabia, it seems like. But Kai Havertz left, obviously, who scored the win in the Champions League, moving to Arsenal. Mason Mount has joined Manchester United. Koulibaly's left. The likes of Kovacic, as I said, has left. Pulisic has gone to AC Milan. Mendy, the keeper's gone. They've sold Ethan Ampadu to Leeds, as we all know. Callum Hudson-Odoi has left to go to Nottingham Forest. Kepa has gone to Madrid on a long season loan. Kante obviously left. Azpilicueta has left. So a lot of players have left. They've brought in a lot of players as well. Nkunku from RB Leipzig has come in for a lot of money. I think he's injured at the moment. Lavia comes in. Calcedo comes in. Cole Palmer from Manchester City comes in. Renato Sanchez from Brighton. Robert Sanchez, who's playing as number 1 at the moment for Chelsea. They've brought in a Monaco player, Axel, Nicholas Jackson from Villarreal, and yeah, just a lot of players. So they're going to go through a transition period. They obviously got Pochettino, who's previously managed the likes of Tottenham, Southampton, Espanyol and Paris. But I think they'll have a disappointing season. I think they'll do better than they did last season. I think they'll get top 8. But Chelsea are going to struggle, as well as Manchester United. Manchester United obviously brought in Mason Mount and got rid of De Gea and brought in Onana and all this kind of stuff. They brought in a young striker, the Norwegian. I just don't see them doing very well this season. And I think a lot of these fans, Chelsea and Manchester United fans, know that they're going to have not the best season this season. So, yeah, I'm going to go for Manchester United to probably finish below Chelsea. I think Chelsea could finish maybe 6th or 7th. Manchester United finish 8th and Aston Villa to finish 5th in the Europa League place. And I think flop of the season is either going to go to Casado or Lavia. Big transfer fees are spent on these two players. Obviously, over 60 million euros to bring in Lavia from Southampton. Calcedo, over 100 mil. I think they'll have okay season. I don't think they'll be anything special. I think they'll be mid. And I think overall, from the transfers, they'll be looked as a disappointment as the season goes on, and I don't think they'll have the most amazing season, as I say. So I'm going to go for Calcedo to be flop of the season in the Premier League, just because of the transfer fee. They bought him for over £100 million for him, and yeah. So now let's move over to Europe and my predictions regarding the European competition. So first up, let's talk about the Europa Conference League. I think the final's going to be Fiorentina versus Aston Villa. Obviously, Fiorentina reached the European final last season and they didn't win it. But I'm going to go for Aston Villa win. I think they'll win the whole competition. Obviously, other favourites include Lille and Frankfurt. But I think Aston Villa will beat Fiorentina in the final. That is my prediction regarding that. Moving over to the Europa League. Now we've got some big teams here. We've got the likes of Villarreal, who's actually sacked their manager, I believe, in recent days. We got the likes of Roma with Jose Mourinho, where Rasmus Christensen hasn't reached the Europa League squad, and we got Liverpool, the likes of Brighton, West Ham, obviously in there, Olympiacos, Ajax, Marseille. So a lot of big teams as well as Rangers. But I'm going to go for a final between Liverpool and Roma win it. Jose Mourinho beats Klopp in the final 2-0. Dybala with both of the goals. Liverpool go crying, and Roma will be the winners of the Europa League this season. Last but not least, regarding the European competitions, is the Champions League. Now, who do I think will reach the final and win this competition? It's very hard to predict. Obviously, there's a lot of good teams. Obviously, Barcelona's in the Champions League this season. We've got teams like Porto, Manchester City, Leipzig, Milan, Dortmund, Paris, obviously Newcastle in that group as well against Paris, Dortmund and Milan. Newcastle will find it hard in that group. Atletico Madrid, Celtic, the likes of Lazio and Feyenoord. Also in the Champions League, we've got Benfica as well, Salzburg, Real Sociedad, as well as Inter Milan. Finalists last season, Union Berlin, where Brendan Aronson is at. We got the likes of Braga, Napoli and Madrid. Other teams include Arsenal and Sevilla in the Champions League, and then Copenhagen, United, Bayern. So who do I think will do well in the Champions League? I think Arsenal will have a very good run in the Champions League, to be honest. I think they'll reach semi-finals and they'll lose in the semi-finals, to be honest. But I think Bayern Munich, also a team that may reach the semis. I mean, they brought in Harry Kane. Bayern's a very good team. They've obviously won a lot of times in the Champions League before, obviously cheating in 1975 against Leeds United. We are the champions of Europe to Leeds United. And I think, who do I think will reach the semis? So let's go semis. I'm going to go for Arsenal. I'm going to go for Barcelona. I'm going to go for City. And I'm going to go for Madrid, I think. No, you know what? Instead of City, I'm going to go for Bayern. I think City will have a shock quarter-final knockout draw against who knows, against maybe Arsenal or something. But then I'm going to go for the final. I'm going to go for a final between it could be Barcelona and Bayern, or Barcelona or Madrid, El Clasico. But I'll go for a Bayern versus Madrid final, and Bayern to win. Harry Kane to scored the winner against Madrid against Jude Bellingham's team. So I'm going to go for Bayern Munich to win the Champions League this season. And as I say, disappointing result for City. It's going to be their shock of the tournament. Manchester City will go out, as I said, maybe against Arsenal, but I think probably against Bayern Munich. I think it'll be City versus Bayern in the Champions League quarter-final, and Bayern just manages to score and win against Manchester City. Regarding Young Player of the Year worldwide, it's going to go to Mr. Jude Bellingham. Terrific signing for Madrid. He's obviously started his Madrid career very well in Spain, and I think Bellingham will really push Madrid to the Champions League final, just losing out, as I say, to Bayern Munich. I think they'll be second in the league, to be honest. I think Barcelona will win with Xavi. I think Barcelona have turned into a better team as they were a couple of years ago. But Jude Bellingham as the Young Player of the Year. Now, Player of the Year, Ballon d'Or winner will go to Haaland. I mean, it has to be Haaland, right? I mean, De Bruyne comes a close second. I think he's probably the best midfielder in the world, De Bruyne, helping City win the treble last season. Obviously, Rodri would be up there as well, obviously scoring the winner against Inter Milan in the final to make Manchester City the champions of Europe. But no, it has to be Haaland to win the Ballon d'Or. I mean, I can't really see who else would be competing against Haaland for the Ballon d'Or. What, you could say Mbappe, but what's he really done in the last year? Obviously scored a hat-trick in the World Cup final. Messi won the World Cup with Argentina, but no, I'm going for Haaland. Now, quickly, I'm going to say Bundesliga winners will be Bayern Munich. Serie A winners will be Inter Milan. The Saudi League winners will be Al Hilal. League 1 winners will be Paris Saint-Germain. Chinese Super League will be Shanghai as winners. National League North winners will be Scunthorpe. National League winners will be Hartlepool. League 1 winners will be Blackpool. La Liga winners will be Real Madrid. So that's it for this year's predictions. I thought I'll do some out-of-the-box predictions, about some hot takes and all that kind of stuff. Remember to follow us on Spotify at the Bielsa Stand podcast. Remember to like us and subscribe on YouTube. Remember to follow us on Twitter at the Bielsa Stand, Instagram and TikTok at the Bielsa Stand, and I'll catch you later.